It was a moment no one saw coming. A move that stunned global markets and sent shockwaves across every major industry in North America. Canada, America's closest ally, neighbor, and trading partner, has declared what officials are calling an industrial blackout on the United States. Factories, energy pipelines, and key trade routes that had flowed seamlessly for decades were suddenly brought to a halt, leaving millions of Americans wondering how such a drastic step could happen overnight. At the heart of this unprecedented standoff lies a deeper struggle, a clash of values, a buildup of unspoken grievances, and a desperate call for respect that had long been ignored. For years, Canadian industry supplied the U.S. with essential resources: crude oil, lumber, steel, and electricity that powered entire cities. But behind those steady exports lay growing frustration. Canadian workers, unions, and communities felt their voices were being silenced, their industries undervalued, and their sacrifices overlooked. The blackout wasn't just about politics, it was about people. In Windsor, Ontario, a steel worker named Daniel spoke through tears as he explained why his union supported the decision. "We've been pushed aside for too long," he said. "Our families work day and night to keep American factories running. But when it comes to fair wages, respect, and recognition, we're treated as if we're disposable." This blackout is not about destroying partnership, it's about demanding dignity. Across the border in Detroit, Michigan, the effects were immediate. Assembly lines that depended on Canadian steel came to a grinding halt. Thousands of workers were sent home without knowing if they'd have a paycheck next week. Families sat around kitchen tables, staring at bills they didn't know how to pay. Fear began to spread. What would happen if this blackout lasted longer than a few days? But amid the chaos, something remarkable began to unfold. Instead of anger, many Americans expressed empathy for their northern neighbors. Social media was flooded with messages of solidarity, with hashtags like #StandWithCanada and #FairTrade now trending across both countries. Stories emerged of American workers recalling how Canadians had always been there in times of crisis, whether during natural disasters, wars, or economic recessions. One particularly emotional moment came during a press conference in Washington, where an auto worker named Maria broke down as she addressed both governments. "We don't need another wall, another war of words, or another reason to hate each other. We need solutions. My father worked alongside Canadians on the line for 30 years. He always told me they were more like brothers than neighbors. Let's fix this before we tear our families apart." Negotiations began almost immediately. Behind closed doors, Canadian and American leaders wrestled with decades of unbalanced agreements, promises that had never been fulfilled, and industries that had been hollowed out by outsourcing and greed. It wasn't easy. The talks were tense, emotional, and at times on the verge of collapse, but slowly, compromise began to emerge. In Ottawa, Canadian Prime Minister addressed the nation with a voice both firm and emotional. This blackout was not a declaration of hostility, it was a cry for fairness. Our workers deserve respect. Our industries deserve value, and our partnership must be built on equality, not exploitation. Today, we extend our hand once again to America, not in surrender, but in solidarity. And in Washington, the president echoed the sentiment, admitting faults of the past but urging unity for the future. "We are stronger together. America cannot stand without Canada, and Canada cannot stand without America." This blackout was a wake-up call, and now we must answer it with action. The resolution that followed wasn't just about trade agreements or industrial policies. It was about human dignity. Canadian workers won guarantees of fair wages and recognition, while American industries agreed to protect, rather than exploit, cross-border partnerships. The blackout ended and factories roared back to life. But the scars of the crisis carried a powerful lesson. True strength lies not in dominance, but in mutual respect. In the end, what could have been remembered as a devastating trade war instead became a turning point in history, a moment when two nations, bound not only by borders but by blood, chose compassion over conflict. And for every worker on both sides of that border, the message was clear: no nation rises alone.